SIBO breath test versus GI map pros and cons. Probably answered this one on a Q&A before, it's hard to say, but nonetheless, differentiate between the two first. So breath test is essentially measuring hydrogen and methane gases, more or less. Now there are a couple different types of breath tests. There's a glucose and a lactulose test. Glucose test's a little bit more sensitive. It is probably going to have a little bit more accuracy. You're going to get different readings based on where the bacteria is located. One test will measure a little bit better in the upper GI and another will measure a little bit better in the lower GI. You could obviously do both at the same time. However, there's still chance of false positive. Now, the other thing that you're not seeing in a breath test is you don't see all the other markers that you get in the stool. The stool test or the GI map, it's a test of excretion, right? So you're seeing what's coming out in the stool, which has some downsides as well. If stuff's not coming out, you might not see it. But you are seeing other markers like immune markers and detoxification markers, things like secretory IgA and anti-gliadin IgA and calprotectin measuring inflammation and elastase and steatocrit looking at enzyme status and fat malabsorption and things like that. Also a bunch of other pathogens on there. Potential to see things like parasites and funguses, even though it might not pick up all of that. There's a lot more, right? So I think if we're looking at which option is going to give you the most data, it's kind of a no-brainer. If you're specifically only looking for SIBO or you only have access to that, or you're going to a GI doc or something and they're offering that test, it's not a bad option. It's just going to miss a lot of other things that you would potentially see on the stool test. Now, breath test might be a way to follow up with the SIBO case later if you're checking, is everything restored back to normal, something like that. But you're probably going to get more out of the stool test as an initial test.